Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second: surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than dead, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Logbook podcast. I'm Kim.
I'm Dakota. How y'all doing today?
We are going to do something a little different tonight. Of course, we're brand new, so I guess everything is a learning process. We are moving our town halls to pretty much strictly veteran opinions. So we can sit here and share from our perspective of what's going on, since we're not getting that perspective represented right now.
Well, just us, but it'd be great to have others too.
You're right. So if you're a veteran and you would like to be a part of our town hall sessions or even part of our podcast, reach out to us at the Logbook and the Logbook podcast on several platforms. And then you can also find our page and email us as well. But so speaking of our new veteran we're bringing on, we have a longtime follower, pretty much with us since the beginning, Mr. Paul Gunderson. Hi, Paul.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
Doing very well.
You look great, Paul. Just want to say.
I appreciate it. So the 9th was my birthday. I turned 50, so it's all downhill from here.
Oh, no. It's 51. That's all downhill. You still got a little bit of way to go.
But I'm pretty darn close.
You know, us females, we stopped counting at 21.
Hey, and while I was waiting for you to bring me on, I saw something that I wanted to bring up, something that happened 19 years ago today.
Shoot.
Pat Tillman was killed in action 19 years ago today. He was the football player that left the NFL to join the military.
That's right.
19 years today. And so since we're talking about veterans and military stuff, I know that Google is listening because we were talking before this and it popped up. And so I just wanted to bring that up.
It's also, I would say this because you don't remember it. Today's Dakota's anniversary from the military.
Yeah, I left the Navy 7 years ago today. I know it's been a long road to get to this point.
I know, it's so funny. It's like,
I know just how you feel, Paul. I know exactly how you feel.
it was that anxiety. Oh, I can't wait that it's over. And now it's like, what the fuck? I miss this shit.
Yeah. Like,
I can remember back when I got out, and I'll tell you, it was scary though, because in the military, life is actually pretty easy. I mean, there's a lot of hard things we do, but overall,
yeah,
it's a fairly easy, just day to day. I mean, you don't have to worry about much. There's a lot to worry about, but as far as, having a place to live and food and stuff like that, it's just there.
I'd just like to give a shout out to the people who are watching us tonight. Hi, Tori. Hi, Laura. It's good seeing you girls. Laura is a big time activist up in the Katy area. Fantastic woman. She will fight for you. She fights politically. I'm telling you what, grr.
And Paul, I just want to reach out and say thank you again for bringing another Y chromosome into the mix. This is it's a breath of fresh air for me. So.
And I like to give him a shout out to Miss Tori Seals, and she, I think, will be joining us at our next Morgan Luttrell Town Hall when he has it. Yeah, here you go, Paul. That's from Tori. Nothing wrong with being 50.
I'll be there. Tori's not going to be 50. She's going to be 21 again for the third time.
Yeah, so that's it. 21 for the third time. Exactly. It's good seeing Miss Tori. Tori was on our podcast recently, and it was probably one of the hardest podcasts I have done to this day. Guys, go check it out. Fantastic story about how she received Gold Star status from her husband. Yeah. And it is amazing how this woman just rallied her courage and is still fighting for veterans. And
is still having so much courage because, nope, 50, I own it. Too many, do not make it that long. Okay.
I stand corrected.
That is a courageous woman right there.
All right. So I guess we had a Morgan Luttrell Town Hall a couple weeks ago.
Yes, at the VFW in
Huntsville.
Huntsville, that's right. Huntsville VFW. Post number is escaping me right now, but
honestly, that post right there, that VFW post is a little bit special to Morgan Luttrell because that's where he started his campaign. And I think it's very commendable that he went back to the places that he started and addressed the same crowd that sat there and drilled him the first time. What are you going to do for us as a congressman? And boy, was he ready. Mm-hmm. So, Paul, what do you think? Are you going to get into it?
Yeah, I'm definitely anxious to see because I wasn't able to join that town hall. So this is going to be new to me for this one.
And just out of curiosity, what are you drinking there, Paul?
So just diet tea. I'm 50. I can't drink the big hard stuff anymore.
Okay, well, this will be a wild night for both of us then. So.
I think I did all of my drinking in the military to last a lifetime.
All right. Well, let's get going into this. And ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Morgan Luttrell.
And I've spoken at George R. Brown. And well, you guys hear me. You sit in the same spot you did last time. You planned that, didn't you?
Yep.
Back against the wall, protected, far enough away you can hit me with something, but not far enough I can't get something back at you.
What do I see the George Bush shoes?
So are you ready? All right, we're going to kick this thing off. You guys, everybody ready? Yeah. I like to talk, so let's keep the time jump in there. I'm good for it.
If you will, let's stand for a Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Father, we are so thankful that we can gather here in the freedom that we have. And Father, we just pray that you'll be with Representative Morgan, that you'll just give him what we need to carry on our work here in our district, that you'll be with him as he represents us in Washington, that you'll just give him the courage to stand up against the evil that is in our nation, that is going wild in our nation. And Lord, we just pray that you'll be with him, with every word he says, wherever he goes and wherever he is. Father, we just pray that your protection will be around him, that you'll set your angels around him and protect him wherever he goes. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pause it right there. Let's pause it right there for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we haven't shared that very much, but we just want you all to know Morgan Luttrell starts off every one of his town halls with prayer, and it's something that we tend to edit out just to get into the questions that everybody wants to know. But this time, when I was doing the editing on this, I felt that it was really important that we start doing that. We show that he is a man of faith. He's a man in love with this country and in love with the state of Texas, because right after the prayer, it's Pledge of Allegiance and then the Texas Pledge as well.
Yes.
And yeah, I thought that was really important to show.
Well, you've been around, politics sphere a little bit longer for us. How many politicians have you seen open with prayer like that?
So since I've been going to town hall meetings here and in other states as well, because I travel a lot, and if I'm just so happen to be somewhere and I can join, I will. I would say it's about 50-50. I mean, there a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they don't say the Pledge of Allegiance. A lot of times they're there just to share what they feel they're doing good, the good things they're doing, but they're not there to listen. They're not there to really take questions. It's just to say, this is what I'm doing good, and to blow their own whistle. And Morgan Luttrell is much different. And I hope things don't change, but I truly, in my heart, I don't think he's going to change. I think Morgan Luttrell is the way he is, and that's who he is, and nothing's going to change him, not even Washington.
Yeah.
He's going to dig in a little deeper.
I saw that. If y'all check out, he went after Mayorkas, and I saw that same face, like when he put his finger down. Yeah, I was like, I'm picking up his characteristics right now.
Yeah.
And he's what we need. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like, I'm hoping for president one day.
I'll tell you, I feel the same way. And even like the last town hall I was with the two of you, I mean, his staff was trying to get him to get behind the podium, and he just wants to be down on the floor with everybody else, and he doesn't, I feel, want to make people feel like he's better than them. We're all equal in that room.
Yeah, Tori, I that's where our hope is. At the same thing, we hope he doesn't change.
Yeah, the thing is, I like what Paul just said about making everyone feel equal. That's why we address these people as Mr. Okay, we address Mr. Congressman, Mrs. Congresswoman, Mr. President, is to make sure that there is humility in the office. And that is why George Washington wished to be addressed as Mr. President, not Lord President or Emperor President or anything like that. Not grand title, a title that anyone could ascertain.
Yeah, but I love it, the fact that there was a grand title associated with Morgan Luttrell, him being an officer at one point and then a Navy SEAL, and yet he stays humble.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that, because it's like, to me, I will say this, when I met Marcus and even Brian Talley, I was intimidated because I know their records, I know who they are, and I'm just a little old, stupid little petty officer, and it's just like, I'm meeting a hero today, and they are the most down-to-earth, humble men. And when they sit there and they're like, you really think of me like that? I was like, oh, yeah. You helped save my arm, of course. It's That's what it is to me.
Mhm.
And to sit there and have them say, no, 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 no. We're going to be equals here. It humbled me further, to be honest. You know, just a small little petty officer. And they did big things. But anyways, you got anything else to say, Paul?
No, I think that's good for now.
Okay, cool.
All right, keep going.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. I pledge allegiance.
Seating after class. Honor for the Texas.
I pledge allegiance to Texas. She said, because in school all they said was do the pledge.
We did a part of the meeting in 7 days. And the first day we were up there, we did the pledge allegiance to the American flag. Everybody started sitting down. I was like, hang on, we got another one. They did fun jokes, funny about it. I'm not going to rattle off Texas pledge allegiance. But anyway, how's everybody doing? Happy Easter. I'm glad to see everybody. Got a lot of familiar faces in here, and it's good to be up here as your representative. Thank you again for your blessings and your support, and especially for my family. I'm going to be brief up here because I really want to dive into the questions. I want to hear what you have for me. And when I do these town halls, I'll always be transparent with you. I won't deflect. I'll give you every piece of knowledge I have to try to answer every single question to the best of my ability. And if you want to go down a rabbit hole, I'll go down there with you. I will. Okay? You probably won't hear a politician say that to you, but I'll do that to you, with you. Okay? And I'll exhaust
Dude, that's
everything I
good.
have. And then there might come a point where I
That's
don't have
good.
anything else for you. But I will absolutely try to find out more if I didn't answer the question appropriately. Okay? I promise you I'll always do that. Since we swore in, we now sit on 3 committees. Some of you have heard this before, but I'm going to tell you. So now District 8 used to be Ways and Means underneath Congressman Brady. Okay? Under myself, we are on the House Armed Services Committee, so everything Department of Defense, everything military. Okay? We are on Homeland, so Homeland Security is the second one, and our third committee is Veterans Affairs. Right, so we have 3 main committees. Under those committees, we have 6 subcommittees. On the House Armed Services, on the Department of Defense, we are on the Cyber Subcommittee for Cybersecurity, and we are on Special Operations and Intelligence. Both of which fit my wheelhouse very well, given my resume and my background. That is the worst ringer ever. Girlfriend, is that your phone? You want me to answer it? Oh, you answered it? Okay. Tell them you're busy. And on Homeland, we are on Border Security. I'm actually the Vice Chairman for Border Security. And we are on Cyber Subcommittee in that committee as well. So 2 cyber subcommittees. It's a big deal. You've heard me say when I was campaigning and anywhere else that cyber risk, cyber threat, cybersecurity is, in my opinion, is the most viable threat to us. Mm-hmm. And the various actors around the world, around the globe, will touch us through the cyber world, cyberspace, more than they will invade our homeland. Okay, so I'm very fortunate to be in that committee to help protect us here. And then in Department of Veterans Affairs, Committee for Veterans Affairs, we are on Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs. So actually, I'm the chairman for that one. So that's my committee, which I'm thrilled about. And health. So when it comes to my veterans, our veterans and District 8, I have the most amazing customers. And I love helping out our veterans. Being a veteran myself and being in the healthcare space for veterans, I love cold calling our VA facilities. And I actually cold called one in Conroe, and they were still wearing masks. And I kind of threw a little fit about that. And the next day, Secretary McDonough, the VA secretary, calls me and says, "Give me 2 weeks, we'll have it fixed." And he did. And now if you go to Conroe, no masks. Right? So that was really I have found, hear me out. I'm never going to try to change your opinion about anyone or anything. I'm going to give you my perspective, how I see it, hear it, smell it, and then share that with you, and then you can populate your own opinions, okay? I have found that a cordial conversation with anyone goes a lot further than yelling and screaming at them. And I was able to assist with getting that mask mandate taken back by having a very cordial conversation with the secretary. He actually came to my office. This is the cabinet secretary under the Obama administration. We reached out and said, "Sir, would you mind meeting with us?" He came to our office, sat down, and we got all this accomplished. Okay? I'm just telling you what's happened since I've been up there. Hear me out on this. And I learned this very quickly in Washington, D.C. It is very, very theatrical. Okay? What you see on TV, what you see on social media, 9 times out of 10 is very embellished. The beating of the drums, the pounding of the chest, when we're on the House floor or we're in committee, the second we walk out and that camera turns off, it's me and you talking. It's you and I talking. It's very different. There is a game that is played, or a play that is played out, if you will, up there. Okay? And the reason that I tell you that piece is that there are some people up there that are exceptional in what they do. And I don't need to tell you who that is. You see them on TV all the time. And I don't care if it's on Fox News or on CNN, whoever. They are those very alpha type individuals that are just on that TV, just telling and yelling and screaming. And I tell you, the second that we walk outside, case in point. And remember, I'm not trying to take your opinion, and that person I'm fixing to tell you about, I don't agree with at all. Zero. But he is the sweetest guy. And every time I see him, he asks me how my kids are doing. How was Christmas? I guarantee you when we get back, he's like, "Morgan, tell me about your Easter day. How was Easter? How was the church service during Easter? Tell me all about it." He'll do that. But the second that he activates and he turns it on, I walk away. And then when he's done, he'll walk over to me, or we'll meet somewhere on the house floor, and we'll finish our conversation. Al Green from Houston. The nicest guy. And I'm just telling you, and I told you, I don't agree with anything politically that he says. I don't. I'm just telling you, it's like talking to your granddaddy.
My day was going good till you mentioned him.
Well, I want to be brutally honest. I told you I was going to be honest with you, didn't I? Okay. And that's just how my career thus far, and my time in DC.
Well, I just wanted to make a quick comment on that. I like the way that Morgan is humanizing every representative out there. He's reminding everybody he's reminding everybody that, hey, I know what you see on TV, what you see on C-SPAN, doesn't look like these people are real. Well, it turns out these people you see on C-SPAN, they're not real. They're acting. They're embellishing themselves. And as soon as it's all over, they turn back into normal people. And I think that's really important to know for everyone's representatives, that these people are people as well. Because I think that when everyone looks at like a bad person in Congress or a bad senator, there's a lot of people who see no way to get around this person at all. Like, they're so powerful. And I like the way that Morgan is humanizing them and making them seem like, hey, they're just like me and you. There is something we can do about this. I think it creates a lot of hope for anyone who listens to Morgan. I mean, what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, no, I feel it's important for him, especially being a new congressman, to truly get to know his friends and enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And in politics, when they go there, they're not all supposed to agree with each other. I mean,
Right.
that makes our government and our country great. But I think by him getting to know everybody at a personal level and not just pushing people away because he doesn't agree with them would hurt him in the long run of maybe be able to work these deals and stuff I think they have to become friends there. And I think it's great that he shares that with everybody because he's being very honest. And I like how he explains what's going on. And whenever someone doesn't understand something, he'll even break it down to like how our government works. He doesn't just expect that everybody understands things. And he didn't bring it up here, but in the past, people are always worried about the money, where it's going and stuff. And I didn't realize this until he explained it in one of his town halls, to where the money we're spending now is from the last Congress. Our time's coming. And
Right.
And I truly appreciate how he just breaks everything
There's
down.
there's always an educational factor in every one of his town halls, because it has come to a point in this country that not a lot of people do understand how our government works.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that education can really calm the public down if they understand, okay, well, this is happening now, but we have the ability to change it later. Then yeah, I think that can simmer down a lot of tempers.
Well, I also think is that too, what I have seen here, and I've spoke to several veterans here, like we have a veteran, Sam, here. I know you're watching, Sam. Hi. And then we have even Brian, who we've had on this show before. They've reached out to their senators and their congressmen, and what they say, oh, well, we're not on that committee, so we're not going to represent that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's, I think most veterans, especially, I would say our elder veterans or older than us veterans, actually know this because they have put in those calls. So in a way I would agree, but I disagree. I think of the post 9/11, our age veterans, we don't know it,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the older veterans have figured it out by now, that we're constantly disregarded. And that's why, Morgan, he said two town halls, I could say that 7 times, I swear, 2 town halls ago, that call your congressman first. And then what he will do is you call him, and then he will contact that congressman and say, hey, buddy, this is your veteran in your district. Now, do I need to meet with you to handle this? And he works like that. I mean, he's like, put a fire in their butt and calls them out. And I really respect that, and, that's why Mr. Moore had Jim Jordan kind of start addressing him, because I have that problem with, you have that problem even somewhat with Senator Ted Cruz. He's hit and miss.
Yeah, he is very hit and miss. And the thing is, I have to blame Ted Cruz because he's ultimately responsible for everything that goes in, everything that happens in every one of his offices. But at the same time, I have a bit of restraint because I know he's just one man.
Well,
he's just one man, and his staff is.
Yeah, his staff is vast.
Yeah,
and I do with Ted Cruz. Why I say hit and miss is because he has done something for a veteran friend of ours, and I walked into his office and shit happened. But it's just that now, and again, this was Trump era when stuff did happen. But now, I have this new little intern popping up, and he's like, well, we have death threats all the time. I'm like, but the VA threatens our lives literally, and veterans are dying. We get it. But you can have an army of security around you, but we have to be gun free.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Before Morgan Luttrell, there was some issues that I tried to get help with. And there was a number of times when I was pretty much told, well, we don't handle those issues. That's because we're not on that committee. But then whenever you would reach out and call the congressman that was on that committee, well, you're not in our district. And you, as a veteran, and I'm sure if you're a senior citizen, an issue with Social Security, whatever, you were like a ping pong ball getting hit back and forth. And so, yeah, with Morgan Luttrell being willing to address issues of even veterans outside of our district is great. But they have to try at least first in their
Right.
in their area.
And I think he's there. You know, to me, if I were him, if I would sit there and bring it up to, Congress is like, hey, all of you people in your district, you're ignoring our veterans because they also use their committees as scapegoats.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. And that's kind of why I have a little bit of a disagreement with you.
Yeah.
Sorry. We don't agree all the time.
No, we don't.
So, but it is what it is.
All right.
Let's continue.
Yep. Let's do that.
It's laid out. I promise you that I would keep my mouth shut. I would not walk our district into anything that we couldn't walk out of. I would never embarrass you. I promise you that, and I have not done it. I think thus far, I've represented the district up there. They understand our values. They understand we are conservative, Christian-based. They appreciate that. So when it comes time for legislation, it comes time for committee debate, they know where we're coming from. And they understand what that looks like when I come into the room, okay? And that's good. We wanted that. We wanted that. We've passed out of the House thus far. And remember, we have the lower chamber. We have the House of Representatives in the Congress. We don't have the Senate, okay? Republicans are the majority in the Congress, in the lower chamber, and the Senate is, the majority is the Democrats, and then at the White House as well. So when we move legislation out, we pass it out of the House, it could very well go to the Senate and die. For instance, our first vote was repealing 87,000 IRS agents. We passed that out unanimously. It most likely will die when it goes to the Senate. Okay? That's the checks and balances we have. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. And last year, the administration passed the omnibus bill. Okay, that was the president's budget, and all that legislation was packed into this little atrocious little bundle of everything, right? And when it was signed into law by the president from January 1st, actually it was October 1st, right? Till this coming October, we have Republicans can do nothing with the budget. Zero. All that money is going out the door. It's promised. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Okay? This October, we take the purse back. That's when we'll start making those excessive changes to the spending that we're seeing. That's when we can start applying the pressure to say, you need something for your program? We need that border secured. You need something for this? We need something for this, right? You want something for your programs, you have, and we're in the majority, so you can bet it's going to swing back our direction. Okay, it's a timing thing, unfortunately. And again, I want to explain this to you because I get the questions like, "Why you're in? What happened? Why haven't you done? Why haven't you secured the board? Why haven't you stopped the spending?" Well, this is all stuff that was promised previous to us showing up. Okay, but we're getting. And I'll close with the best piece of advice, right? Okay. Best piece of advice I got. Texas member walks up to me a couple weeks in. He's like, Morgan, I want you to listen to me. And I want you to listen to every word I say.
Mr.
And he's like, look at me. But I want you to listen to me. And he kept telling me to look at him. When I talk to him, I look straight at him. And he's like, Morgan, don't ever trust anybody up here. Don't trust Democrats, don't trust the Republicans, don't trust your staff. Morgan, do not trust me. He's like, now here's what I'm about to say to you. And I'm looking at that, I got it. Me and him, the only people that exist. He's like, Morgan, I promise you this. I will never, ever stab you in the back, but I'll damn sure shoot you in the chest. He's like, if it's your district or mine, I'm going to war with you. And I was like, sir, I know exactly what that means. I was a gunfighter in my previous life. Thank you for that piece of advice. The best piece of advice I ever got. Never take it personal, and never take it home with the other pieces of advice I got that I cherish up there. So knowing that, the reason I moved slowly across that chessboard, making sure that we do not do anything foolish. Make sure the votes that we take reflect what we believe here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will turn it over to questions.
Any thoughts, Paul?
I like how he does his introduction, and most of his town halls are just talking one-on-one with everybody in the audience. I mean, he really wants to hear what everybody's concerns are, and he's never going to be able to make everybody 100% happy.
No.
Because everybody has their own opinions, but he's not afraid of anybody coming there and bringing any issues up. He's going to discuss and everything. And I think in the end, people leave and they're like, hey, this, like I said earlier, this is a good guy. We may not agree, but we don't have to argue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's it brings a sense of civility to every one of his town halls, that you know that you're not going to there's not going to be a brawl at the end of it. You know, it's even though as much as we want one sometimes.
I mean, I can honestly say I have gone before a certain congresswoman and I've lost my cool. You know, but I gave her the opportunity. I was polite in the beginning of it, but when she got up there and told a bold-faced lie about me in particular and female veterans and what she was doing, I lost it. I had to stand up against that completely. I can't stand that. Yeah, Laura, I'm pretty sure you heard about that. I do have a little bit of that video if you want to check it out on the podcast.
Yeah.
On our Lizzie Fletcher's Lies episode.
And now, unless they were behind you in the past, there's usually one or two, but were there even any law enforcement at his town hall meeting?
Morgan's?
No.
At that one?
You know what? When he was at the CVA town hall, there were two.
There was two, but they were veterans.
Yeah, but they were veterans. And the fact is how many, I mean, Osvaldo is a retired cop. How many retired cops were in there?
Yeah. I mean, like, as far as like uniformed working police officers, I've never seen one.
I mean, does he really need it?
No, he doesn't.
No, I remember he had when Marcus got there and Marcus busts in the door and he's like, security's here. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
He freaking lost it.
Then
I mean, come on. I mean, really, does he need it? But when you were at Lizzie Fletcher's town hall, she had like 20.
She has like a quarter of the precinct.
Yeah, she
at her
had
town halls, at her speaking events to her constituents.
Yeah.
And then the amount of police and security outside as well. And even walking up with her, you know, if you need that much security around, I mean, common sense, if you need that much security around you, then you're probably doing something wrong.
You're not doing what the people in your community want you to do.
No, obviously not, especially because she's in the lower house. She's not, she's in the lower house. But anyways, do y'all have anything else?
No. Let's get into questions.
Well, I figured this. Let's let everyone ask the question, and then we'll follow up with our thoughts on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. I'll get you next, sir. You want to yell at me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, first up first.
Okay, go.
Is it on? Okay. One statement, Lufkin, VA is still wearing masks.
Last month? Okay. Could you check back? That guidance came out at the first of this month. So if you would check, if they still are, come to tell me, okay? And I'll literally drive over, well, Lufkin's not my
Sounds like a phone call will work.
Yeah, there you go.
Secondly, there's a lot of noise coming across, both social media and mainstream media is not covering it very much. You just kind of touched on it. But I'm curious what's going on with our dollar. We see that these countries are making moves to start making transactions in something other than US dollars. And
They're trying to flip the currency to another,
yeah,
whichever currency that may be, I don't know yet.
is that what's going on? Are we getting the truth about that? Or are we getting an economic disaster coming at us sometime in the future?
Okay, so the current news here on social media is that the American dollar will no longer be the global currency. Okay? I haven't seen any weight behind that yet at my level in Congress. Okay? And so what I would say, sir, is let it develop some more. Social media has an ability to make things a lot more aggressive and substantiated than it actually is. And this could be something that just spins us up. And it could be absolutely nothing but. If it is something, I will report back to you immediately, all of you, and let you know where we stand and what that is shaping up to be. But as of right now, it lives in that social media space. Yes.
So that gentleman, the question he brought up was about masks in Lufkin, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Lufkin VA is still masked, and the Lufkin VA is still part of the Michael E. DeBakey network.
Lufkin and Livingston are
Right.
both requiring masks. And according to them, what they told me was because they're still in a high risk area, but yet the VA guidelines are they're going by what the CDC says, and the CDC does not have it as a high risk.
Livingston's at a low risk area.
Yeah.
So if you look at the county CDC guidelines, it's low risk.
Yeah.
And that's what Morgan, so the reason why Morgan called Conroe is because I called Conroe. And well, I spoke to Miss Holly. And it was so funny. So I talked to Holly, and then the next day Morgan was in the Conroe clinic because I was like, she said, well, it's according to the CDC guidelines. I was like, yeah, the risk for CDC guidelines and Conroe has been low for over a year. So you're not, and I just checked. And then she went, of course, she confirmed it, verified. And so Morgan went over there the next day. Mm-hmm. But I've heard reports down of that all over the country is that they're still not following CDC guidelines. And what it is we actually caught them. We cold called Veteran Affairs.
Yeah, the clinic's all in an area.
And then they sent us up to a patient advocate. And the patient advocate clearly said, yes, we have received it. And she said, girl, you don't have to wear a mask if you don't want to. I have the report right here. Every patient advocate's office is aware. And that was before Morgan called McDonough. And that's what I'm saying is, and she told me verbatim that it was Vasquez that was sitting there going against the order himself because he felt it that way. And I have that recording, by the way. I'm actually so tempted just to share it.
Yeah, we should. So here's my take on the whole mask thing. Out of all the issues in the VA, I know we've talked about issues you're having, I'm having. The mask issue to me is actually kind of a low level thing because there's a lot more major issues going on. But what that shares with all of us is even at something as simple as wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, and a rule coming from the secretary of the VA down to the individual VAs, they do what they want.
Exactly.
And
That's
my
the point.
concern.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it. Yes.
Yes.
That's why it's such a big issue, is that you have totalitarians, anarchists running each individual VA clinic, and they're the king and queen, and they know it. They are very, very much aware of their power.
If they're not obeying orders coming down about wearing a simple mask over your face, then what other orders are they not following?
And how much, and that also leads me to believe how much they are covering up, especially when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, if we FOIA'd Vasquez right now for the money or the financial allocations, which is Michael E. DeBakey, the largest VA network here in Houston, I guarantee you he could not come up with the numbers and where the money's going. I guarantee it. In fact, we should probably do it.
Yeah, we should look into that.
We that's something we should do. We should actually FOIA the VA.
I have found when it comes to requesting FOIAs from Houston, if you get anything, it's all blacked out. They like to
It's
use
redacted. You're kidding me. It's redacted.
Yeah, they like to use the HIPAA law, and even when it's, I mean, I've asked for FOIA things. I was injured at the VA, and I asked for the information I sent in a FOIA for the injury report. They said due to HIPAA law, I couldn't see it, and I'm the patient. I mean, tell me how that makes sense. I personally don't think they ever did what they said they were going to do, and you guys are broke. I don't know if you can still hear me. You guys are frozen. Let's see.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, there you are.
I have no idea what happened there. So, I get what you're saying on that, because I put in a FOIA with the VA 5 months ago. Nothing yet. And I asked for a list of all of the community care doctors in the Houston area. And I put in that FOIA because you can't, even with the community care website, you can't find them. You can't see them. You have to go clicks by link for each specialist, and even those are buried.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been 5 months, and they've had 30 days to respond to that FOIA, and they won't do it.
Yeah, that system is very hard to navigate. And my parents are retired. They're on Medicaid or Medicare, whichever one it is that senior citizens are on. And they can find doctors really easy in the community. And they're not very computer savvy, and they can get it done. There's no reason the VA can't have a system that would allow us to truly choose doctors that we want. We could review doctors. We could see. The great thing about the care in the community is if there's 4 doctors available, I can go to Google and I can see how they're treating people. But they don't want to make it that easy for us.
No, it's like even when you call community care and they make the appointment, they use Google to find the correct phone numbers and the addresses. Mm-hmm. That's what they do. And then they Google map it to see how far it is. They don't even use their own systems.
Before the Mission Act, it was called the Choice Act.
Mm-hmm.
And during Choice, that's when I started. And one thing I had found is they like to select doctors for you. And the doctor at the VA would recommend a doctor at the time. And often it was a doctor that actually also saw patients at the VA. So you talked about a conflict of interest. So, okay, I don't want to get my care at the VA. I don't want to see a VA doctor. So I'm going to go see a community doctor that you're going to push a VA doctor that also works in the community on me.
So during Choice, I wasn't even here in Texas yet. I was here for the tail end of it once it went bankrupt. Mm-hmm. I had phenomenal doctors out in California because he was still in the Navy. But the problem is they weren't getting paid. My acupuncturist, she never got one dime. But I was so messed up. I mean, I was fresh out of the military. I needed surgery really, really bad. The wait time was there. And she just looked at me. She's like, I can't leave you like this. I just can't. And she said, I know I got the paperwork here and I've submitted all the payments. We've seen you. But you know, they're not paying me, but I can't not see you. You know, that's what she said. Her name was Christina. Fantastic woman. And even my psych doctor, he never got paid either. And then when they found out that it was because it was bankrupt, they realized they were never going to get paid. And they just said, screw it. I got to finish up the cases that I have, at least get them to a healthy place, because they felt responsible at that point. And, you know, they actually, one of my doctors brought up a good idea. Is like, why can't I just write this as a tax write-off? You know, or if I see a veteran, you know, at least one or two.
Provided charitable services.
Right.
So I've got sleep apnea, service connected. There's a device now that they can implant to where you don't have to wear the mask.
Oh.
So it's called the Aspire therapy, and the VA will pay for it. They might tell you they won't, but the VA will pay for it. But the only doctor in the community that I could see was in Austin. So I had to drive to Austin, and it's multiple trips because I got to do some testing. But the testing was going to be done in the office. So they got to stick a camera up your nose into your throat because they want to look at your throat. And the VA wouldn't pay to sedate me because he was doing it in the office and he was having a anesthesiologist come in. So the VA would pay the extra money if I went to a hospital. But the doctor, he ended up paying for my sedation out of his pocket so he could take care of me. And I didn't qualify for the procedure anyways.
Yeah. The thing is, we could talk about, you know, that one question that set us down this rabbit hole about the VA all night. But what this guy had a question about was something really worrisome, was the dollar going
or
away.
the American dollar going away, and like something about global currency. Unfortunately, I have not had the time to chase down that particular rabbit hole. What are your thoughts on that, Paul?
I don't think things are, as long as we have the president that we have, I think the chances of our currency becoming not as strong as it should be and globally is definitely, I think, a possibility.
Oh yeah, but the value of the dollar has dropped. And I think it's another push to a one world currency, possibly.
Yeah.
Time will tell on that, but I don't think we have. I think it's something that we should keep in the back of our minds. I think he made a very valid point.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the time is quite here yet.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway.
Well,
right.
You want to keep going?
Let's keep going. We're going to have to do some fast forwarding because we dropped out a bit.
Oh.
But, yeah, we'll get there.
And I've spoken to.
Oh, we lost the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And when it was signed into law by the president from something that just spins itself. And it could be absolutely nothing more. If it is something, I will report back to you immediately, all of you, and let you know where we stand and what that is shaping up to be. But as of right now, it lives in that social media space. Yes. Yes.
I have a statement and a question. My statement is, I saw you question Secretary of Defense Austin here just recently, and also on the general committee. And I don't know how many other people seen that, but I was just very, very impressed with your questioning on and Austin did not answer you. He just spun around, you know. But you done a great job. It made me proud that I was voting on you. And my question is, I know what you said a while ago about 87,000 IRS, and we can't do anything until October. Can we stop their payment in October and get rid of it?
Yes, that's what happens. We put the curtail on the spending in October because then it's the next year's budget, right? Which we're working on that. So before, the other party had control of appropriations. Now we do, and right now we are gathering all the budgets, all the appropriations for, and that will go not happen. So we will not fund that.
Also, something else, are we gonna have a budget ready for whenever it's time to present it?
Yes, sir. So one of the promises that we made is that we were going to pass 12 appropriations into the budget, pass the budget. And right now, those committees, appropriations and budgeting, are working together tirelessly to make that happen. And I wish I could look you square in your face and say that's going to happen, sir. I can't do that. Okay? But I know that they're busting their hump up there right now to do so. It is a very arduous task. Just given the complexities of our size and just the budget itself. I will report back to you. It has to happen here shortly.
Right.
So I'll keep everybody up to speed on what's happening. Yes, sir. In the back.
So I couldn't hear all of it. What I noticed at this particular town hall is people didn't understand the microphone. They were too busy pointing it and not holding it to their mouth. And I was just like, what is this? It was hilarious. But I did hear him. I see this a lot at town halls, is again, people get up and speak, but they never ask a question. They're just like, they say a statement and expect their congressman to agree with them. This is a Q&A. Please ask a question. I don't understand that, but what he was talking was about Austin and the border crisis.
Floyd Austin. Floyd Austin and border crisis, and about how Morgan flayed him alive at a hearing. And Morgan sat there and said, direct to Lloyd Austin, is there a crisis at the border? And I tell you what, SecDef just refused to answer, came up with every kind of, color in his crayon box there. They refused to eat it, but refused to call the cartels a terrorist organization.
Did you see that, Paul?
Yeah, I did.
And what did he call them? He called them something very soft, a very soft.
He downplayed them.
Yeah.
And he played politics, but then when Morgan addressed that to General Miley said, "Yes, there is a crisis on the border."
It's this whole softening of language that has been happening since World War II, and it's starting to happen with the word terrorist now. It's offensive.
The terrorists are now victims. God.
It's now offensive to call somebody a terrorist who's actually committing terrorist acts. Now there's a new soft term for them, so that we don't offend anyone.
Because if we sat there and called them at the border, it's now racist, is what it is.
Yeah, well, but Democrats also can't give the definition of a woman either, though. So,
and yet they won't ask real women what a woman is.
But then again, they also call Morgan Luttrell ma'am, or well, they're all confused. That's very obvious.
Yeah. I'm telling you, right, if you're confused about
Congresswoman, that was it. Congresswoman.
Oh. I watched it. I freaking died, bro. I was like, this is great. Comedy gold. Our first little zinger from Congressman Luttrell on that one. But Anyways, guys, if y'all want to see that interview with Morgan Luttrell on a border crisis, if you go to our video section, we do have it listed there. It was great. It was absolutely great. But I will be reviewing the budget that Morgan is talking about tomorrow, and I will be putting that out. However, I already did put out more Morgan's portion of the budget on the that he was on the 19th, but I still have more to come to get that out to you. I understand you're all working. You're great veterans and veteran supporters, so let's try to get the news out to you when you can, and for a little bit, just a little bit a day.
Yeah.
Keep you informed.
Yeah, Laura, I know you saw Mayorkas got ripped a new one, and I enjoyed it every much as you did. I know I did.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Let's
Anything
continue.
else, Paul?
No, we're good.
Go. No.
Okay, so give a little background about myself. So I work for the VA. I am literally the only full-time employee working in cybersecurity.
Which VA you at?
Actually, I'm out of Boston. My organization's Boston. I'm also with the Texas military. I'm the warrant officer in charge of cybersecurity. I've been on active orders for Operation Lone Star now for going on 7 months.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Pleasure to honor, sir. However, the reason I'm putting you on the spot is I'm the only FTE for threat intelligence and modeling. I have 4 contractors working for me that I've been trying to get transferred over or converted over to full-time. We can't get their positions open.
Can't get
Anything we can do.
What do you mean by open?
We can't get another FTE position open to bring
Oh,
over
create another
contractors
position to plus up one?
plus up at least one.
Yep.
Because I'm the only one.
Is that through Lone Star, so it's through the state?
No, this is the Veterans Affairs Administration I work for full time. And I'm cybersecurity threat intelligence modeling for the VA.
Okay.
I'm also a MA soldier for the Texas State Guard.
Okay. And you need to plus up on the federal side.
I need to plus up on the federal side.
See the young lady, Dita?
Okay.
You got it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up. And I get a lot of questions, questions similar to that. Know this, and this, you drove a point home perfectly well. I can't be everywhere at once. I can't see everything, hear everything, and I don't know everything. But if you tell me, then I can go to work on it. So you're my eyes and ears, okay? So if you have something similar to that, if you can get that to me, then I can start working. Okay? It's remarkable. The one thing about DC, if there's a problem out there that you just think you want to be a part of, outer space or underground or underwater or whatever, it's there. I stay in my lanes, past Homeland and VA. That's my lane right there. If he came to me, if somebody has an energy and commerce, transportation issue, I will do my best to run at the ground, but then I'll go to a member that's on that committee for assistance. Because if I can delegate it and bring more people to it, it's easier for me to solve the problem. Okay? Do we agree on that? Okay. That's just, Kimberly is one of my favorites. She's been to every single town hall. What you got?
I actually have this from a soldier. She's honorably discharged. Her name is Angie Carol Webb, and she was wondering if she could address one of the biggest complaints regarding the soldiers under care in the field, or there wasn't during in the Iraq War, especially those with concussions from IED blasts, and caused a lot of their paperwork, and ultimately lack of care issues, lack of paperwork and the evidence of their claims, and then the burden is on the vet to produce it. It could probably write a whole list, is what she said, but she wants the continuity.
I kind of lost you in there a little bit. What is she?
She wants to know why there is no continuity pretty much between the fields and medics and then to the VA, because we can't really document that.
Okay, so the question is, and give me some rope here, okay, Kimberly?
Yeah.
Bring me back to center if I'm walking away from
Yeah.
it. The question is, when someone's injured on the battlefield
Right.
or in training,
Yes.
arguably, the continuity of care from an active duty individual when you transition out into the veteran space can be broken.
Yes.
Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. And this is something that I've been working on a lot. And I have to walk it back to basic training from day one, week one. Because right now, for all my veterans, brothers and sisters here, you can appreciate this, and for everyone else for your education, when you come into the military, there's no baseline assessment per se. What we want to create is if you come into the military, I'm going to scan your brain, and I'm going to do a top to bottom, inside out assessment of you. And there's your package. And it will follow you your entire career. And if there's a blip on the radar, communication on the battlefield is very challenging in a time of war. I will not dispute that at all. Given the aggressiveness of combat, the smaller numbers, a lot of times when we were on the battlefield and it happened to me, happened to all my buddies. 9 times out of 10, what the doctor would do is like, are you good? If you're not, put you down for a couple days. Well, we need you. We can keep you back in the training. Now, brain science and concussions has started to develop over the past 5 to 10 years. So we know more than we did when I was in and a lot of you were in. Okay? So the information that we were able to gather or aggregate for our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Space Force, if there's any of those in there, is a lot better. But my World War II, Korea, Gulf War, and my generations, there is a lag. So to answer the question, we have to be better about the assessments that we have for our service members from start to finish. So when they do move into the VA space, we do a handoff of a portfolio of them that the Veterans Affairs can take and say, we got it. Okay? Department of Defense and Veterans Affairs are very siloed. They don't communicate very well. And data sharing and information sharing is a challenge. And that's when.
So, there were 2 questions here. Oh, by the way, the Kim he was talking about was, of course, me. We're there. We were. I would like to say that was a VA worker back there. And what did you think, Paul, on what he said?
Well, I had a little bit of hard time hearing him, but he said he's cybersecurity for the VA.
Yes, and there's only one guy.
Well, the first thing I think of is, since I've been banned from town hall meetings, including virtual town hall meetings, is he the guy that kicks me off?
No, he's the guy who prevents people like China from stealing our record, which I've gotten 2 letters from Veterans Affairs and the DOD saying my stuff has been stolen.
Okay.
My identity.
So there's just one
guy
for the whole VA.
No, for Austin.
Okay, but still, that's we have a lot of veterans.
Austin is part of Waco and Temple. They're all the same network.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's still a large network. So, and he has been sitting here asking for another person to help him out, at least one. How can somebody, I don't understand, they get all this money. How can they not fund this? This is our medical record. This is national security because of the stuff we know.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It all boils down to, are they hoarding the money so they get bigger bonuses?
What scares me is when this town hall happened, that same week, they got rid of the Whistleblower Protection Act.
Yeah,
I heard that.
That's what scares me about this VA employee.
Yeah, the thing is, the way government money works, every dollar has to be accounted for. So there's no way that they're obviously hoarding the money away. Now, there's a way you can do that, and that's by not pointing fingers or setting any claims. There's a way you can do that by putting it into different buildings and different businesses and maybe even clinics, and hide the money that way and tell them that it's going to those places. and it's just a small definition of
Again,
monitoring.
we've kind of said that we just need was an IT person, only one in the geographic region is a bad thing. Okay, let's put up Tori's, what she has to say. And one in the geographic is a bad thing. Always have back. Exactly. Exactly. So he saw the fallacy with that too. I just one person, and he's been on it and on it and on it. And it's not just medical records. You know, some of our medical records are attached to our military records. It's complete bogus.
Well,
Bogus.
and our ID is our social security number.
Yeah. Because they went to, gosh, when I was in, we had a DOD number. Then we went back to social security number. Then when my dad was in, we had our social security numbers, and then we had DOD numbers. It is crazy. What's going on there? I remember that there was a VA employee before they set up this advanced cybersecurity network that was actually selling our medical records to China. Remember that?
I do remember that. That was frightening, to say the least.
Yeah, 7 years ago. And what they did is they kept that employee under supervision, and that employee, I know, because that employee just happened to be in my room right after I had surgery. They kept them on where they were on suicide watch. They still kept them employed. So dumb. And I overheard it, and I called you and my mom back to come back in, and then a few weeks later, boom, it was in the newspaper. I was just like, told you so.
Yeah, for an organization that I don't trust very much, whenever I call the VA, and if you make a complaint to like the White House hotline, one of the things they ask you is for your full social, not just your last four. And I'm thinking, I'm giving you my social security number. You got all my information, and I don't really trust you. But yet we have to.
Right. But anyways, we're going to move on. I think we kind of nuked that. The question that I asked is, I had a Facebook group reach out to me, and I'm pretty sure you know about this Facebook group, Paul. It was the VA Corruption by the Buchanan Report. The administration has been watching kind of what we're posting. Like, she doesn't even vet what we post on there anymore. And she sent me a statement that I had to form in question, plus I had to deal with my kid at the same time. So I know it kind of came convoluted there, doing too many things at once. But it was on, I guess, the way that the VA, the battlefield records don't go to the VA, or they don't go to, let's say they don't, what I'm trying to say.
Your active duty service medical records does not transfer over to the VA very easily. Therefore, the term continuity of care.
It's lost. But here's the thing: it's not just the DoD records. The DoD also has a big problem. You're at a battle scene right there. You had to be medevaced out of the area, but someone loses the records. And I knew of a sailor that was charged $16,000 by TRICARE because they were medevaced out of a location while active duty, and they couldn't find the medical records from a small little attack we're involved in. And that's what we're talking about, is a continuity of care, is people lose their medical records in small missions, even large missions, and they don't come back necessarily back to the boat or anyways or anywhere. So that's a lot of problem with veterans making their claims as well. And that was her question, is the continuity from field throughout the DoD, from field to hospital and then to the VA. It's a big issue.
And one thing I have found, not just with me, but other veterans, and this not just for care, but if you're trying to get a disability claim, the VA, when they're doing a claim, they will reach out to for the Army, they keep all our records in St. Louis, I think it is. and they'll pull the records. But I've pulled my records, and I know other veterans that have pulled theirs, basically do a FOIA to pull your own records. And my medical records, when I got out of the military, I mean, was a stack like that big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yet, whenever I asked for the organization that's supposed to have my records to send them to me, it was a stack like that.
Yeah.
Because they're digital, and at least during my time, someone had to take them off of like microfiche or something, and it never got done. They were scanning them, but I think a lot of them, got thrown away or something.
Yeah, there was one guy within Balboa Hospital that would transfer the medical records, just one guy, from DOT to VA. And I tell you what, he was the most stressed thing. He was constantly in the smoke pit. He was a walking chimney because of the stress that he was under. He's like, because I got to do this right. I got to do this right. And he would get his volunteers that would help him out were VA, Navy personnel that were on restriction. Do you think they actually cared?
They'll give a damn.
Yeah.
And that was it. So anyways, you want to continue?
Let's continue.
I got lost in the system, or they lost my record and I can't get what I need. It is the VA itself, I think today, is the second largest bureaucracy in our country. And it's very challenging to peel the onion back to find a clear path for our active into our veteran space, so we're working on it.
Well, I just have a follow-up. So you see a lot of people like with the same diagnosis of the same thing that's happened with like the IEDs and things of that nature. But why can't the VA sit there and say, well, this is a common injury?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I actually have an answer for it.
Okay.
So our question was, why can't we? There's so much finality in a traumatic brain injury, right? But it's not. Okay. So here's two things. First, up until recently, we severely misdiagnosed TBI with post-traumatic stress.
Oh wow.
Those cognitive instabilities parallel themselves very well. Somebody with a TBI is depressed, is anxious, but it's not an emotional cause. It's a physical injury that's causing it. You have to treat those very differently. And as we learn more about the brain, we're realizing that. Okay, my background is brain science. And I didn't say a Holiday Inn Express last night. I got some background on this. Okay, so what we're having to do is not only make the clinicians, researchers, neurologists, neuroscientists, all the people that deal with either categorizing a TBI, we have to make them subject matter experts, and that's a challenge. Okay, so that is so hard because in order to properly diagnose it, you got to scan it, you got to test it, and given the complexities of the service member nowadays, because of the complexities of war, very hard. So I give the VA a kind of wide berth on this because we don't know how the brain works. And I don't know, if any doctors ever told you I got the brain figured out, go find another doctor. That's serious. Okay? So that is one of the hardest challenges for us. We can't solve the problem when we don't know how the mechanism works.
Okay.
Right?
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll get you in.
Hey, Paul, what do you think of that?
So he brought that up in one of the previous town hall meetings too about traumatic brain injuries, and he classified them as there's different levels of traumatic brain injuries, and he actually went to school for that, so I'm sure, without a doubt, I know Morgan Luttrell has a lot of education in that area, so I think he understands it as much as anybody could, since we haven't actually figured out the brain. But as a civilian, though, I actually was injured at one time, and I'll just keep it short, but I was at a hotel and the headboard fell off the wall, hit me in the head, knocked me out. I had a TBI injury, and I ended up having to get an attorney to help take care of things. And in the civilian world, TBI injuries, even though it could be a small injury or a severe injury. They're all in the court of law. All are considered traumatic, every one of them.
Wow.
And so whenever I hear the VA and stuff talk about how there's different levels and stuff, and I always go back to, and I'll share one day with you what happened. It wasn't anything exciting or anything. But when I got mine and I ended up having to get an attorney, he shared with me how in the civilian court, whether it's something small or big, they're all equally traumatic.
Yeah.
So when it comes to VA and veterans trying to get care or disability for it, I mean, the fact that you have a traumatic brain injury, I think it would be very easy to have kind of a blanket thing like you're suggesting, just like hearing. There's MOSs that you're supposed to easily be able to get a disability for a hearing claim, hearing loss. I was in artillery, and for some reason, they don't think that caused my hearing loss.
But there's that 3M earplug lawsuit, right?
Right.
That was after my time. When I was in, we just put our fingers in there.
I'm just making a joke. I haven't even heard anyone making money off that.
Yeah.
But I did want to I had a thought, and it's not necessary, guys. I'm not an expert on this, but I was wondering if social culture on PTSD had an influence of, one, misdiagnosing veterans and not giving them the true terminology of a TBI, or or was it like Ritalin back in the 90s, just passed out to anybody, therefore they didn't have to double check it.
I know it was passed out to me. I was diagnosed with PTSD at 9 years old.
So that's what I'm wondering, if there's a social cultural aspect of it that is not giving us true care. What are your thoughts? I mean, you get what I'm saying? Because right now it's like with, I'll give you an example, like with the younger generation, I've seen a lot of people come out, like in the civilian community, say, oh, I have PTSD. I have, they use victim mentality or disability as a crutch for attention. And they use it as a victim card.
Okay. So even people that weren't even in the military, just kind of
right.
Take
but
advantage of.
Since it's become a popular thing to have, a trendsetter to have PTSD, do you think that social construct or societal culture has just made it to where just rubber stamp, oh, you have PTSD, and not give the veteran a proper TBI diagnosis? Do you think that could be a possibility?
No, I definitely think, it's definitely, I think you're onto something there.
That's something that I think about sometimes on a regular basis of how much societal culture has pulled from military culture. And the reality is with people with trauma, the average person will go through 4 to 5 traumas in their life. Okay, that's average. Mm-hmm. Military go through 40. Okay, military and police. So I'm not talking to you, Paul. Like you already know this probably, is that I don't understand the culture of, one, trauma bonding. I can't do that. I just can't. Because that has nothing to do with your character. And 2 is, one, making trauma your character. And I've not seen veterans with true TBI and true PTSD sit there and use it as a character card. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've not done that. And I think this is what I do see coming from this, is that if we sit there and look at TBIs, and you can prove TBIs. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I have seen it.
Yeah. There's physical evidence.
I'm worried about the TikTok crowd grabbing a hold of it and saying, I have a TBI now. I do worry about that. Yeah. So, anyways, you got anything?
Well, I do, but that is a long conversation and it's all theory. So let's stick to facts here.
Oh, yeah, I could go down. I could go down some theoretical holes, but I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm not an expert. I just want to let you know that it's just a thought.
Yeah, Paul, you and I can go over a couple of ice cold diet teas.
All
right, let's get back to it.
If I cheated on him, he never let me live it down.
Well, you cheated on him over there.
No, he was
Hey, who's the congressman? Me or you? Give me some.
I still love you anyway.
My question to you, by saying I was a teenager in the 70s.
You made it.
It was a big drug era. I never used drugs, but I know guys that are my age today that are still using drugs. They did drugs with their children. Their children have done it with their grandchildren. I have a grandson that's adopted right now. He's 8 years old, and
If he's doing drugs, I don't want to know about it.
his birth mother was a drug addict and used alcohol, so did his dad. But she did it while she was pregnant, and the doctors say he has chemical imbalances that were created from that. He has some real behavioral issues, right? And we know that a lot of this just gets kind of swept under the rug. Where I'm going with this, my question has to do with we're having more shootings come up, just like in Kentucky. They just had 2 shootings there, and I know that the anti-gun people are, going to blame everything on the gun, but I'm wondering, when are we going to address the declining mental health issues that we have in our country that are responsible for a lot of the mess that's going on right now, and not just with the shooting.
It's very challenging to answer that question because that's individual rights, right? So I would never get into your household and tell you how to raise your children or how to conduct yourself. All I can do is stand here in front of you, which I agree is the mental illness scale has gone vertical. It has climbed in the past year and a half, 2 years, arguably. I fall back on individual responsibilities. I have 2 sons, and as a daddy, I raise them as men. No question. They're men. They know what a gun is, they know what a gun can do, they know how to take a gun apart. They're 6 and 10. I can't tell someone else how to properly raise their children. I'm raising my children myself. Now, I would never bring the federal government in your house and tell you how to raise your kid. Okay? I'm the wrong guy to ask that question.
I'm just saying that there are people out there for instance, I taught for 23 years, and there were students that we saw that they needed professional help. They needed professional help. And they were crying out for it. And we were told, leave it alone. You don't draw attention to anything. You don't.
You just want to pull some mental.
So what I'm saying is, a lot of these shooters have had all kinds of red flags, and they're ignoring it until it happens, and then somebody will say, well, he did this or she did that or whatever, and it just didn't click with me or whatever. But I think it's important that we diagnose some of these issues and we get them the proper help that they need. That's where Logbook.
No, I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying. Here, we can, remember, I told you, I'll run down the phone with you. All right?
Tell people how to live their lives.
Here's a challenge for Polk County. If I brought, let's talk hypotheticals here, right? Let's just say, okay, we have some red flags go up out here and I swarm this place, law enforcement. People that are not from here. What is this? What do? We lock the house down. Right? Am I right or am I wrong now? And I'm asking you. You're excited as hell for everything I need to know. And I get it. No, it's challenging. So here's the challenge, right? We want our privacy. We want our individual responsibilities. Right? We do. But the complexities of human nature and how many of us there are in one spot, these problematic issues rise, and you know, hey, do we want to point that out and say, hey, look, or are we going to point out like, hey, you can't say that about them. You can't say that they're that way. You're and I'm trying to get I try to get my head around it. And so this is how I answer the question even further. It's a state issue. Things like this, if it's elevated to my level, my state leadership has failed.
And it's fair.
I want people to be able to get help.
I do too. And yes, sir.
And we pushing away, that's on us.
Yeah, it's challenging. Case in point, veteran community. Man, we are hard to deal with. I mean, we are just, there's two of us sitting right here. I can look. We are hard to get our arms around. Okay? And we go into our VAs, we go to our hospitals, and sometimes the question we get, and sometimes and how the interaction is, it may not be offensive but it may offend us, and then it just explodes, right? Again, it's that personality, that emotion. It's so complex. I agree with you. I know exactly. I agree with what you're saying. Yes, you did. How do we fix that problem at scale? I personally don't have an answer to that right now.
So I've got an answer for it.
Let's hear it.
But I think it's going to take 40 years because this is my thought process on this whole thing. And this is for people in the military because Morgan Luttrell brought up in a few meetings ago that Korean War veterans, World War II veterans didn't have the same amount of like PTSD and stuff as we have now, whether it was because maybe we didn't recognize it before or maybe it was just the way that people were brought up. And what I think when it comes to mental illness and PTSD is it's been about 40 years since my world has changed to where when I was in school, there was only one first place winner. Everybody else was a loser. Everybody now for 40 years almost has gotten a trophy. Everybody has been equal. Kim, you brought up just a few minutes ago that the average person has 4 traumatic events in their life. When I was younger, those 4, at least 2 of them happened when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I mentally had to stress my brain and stuff to kind of to adapt to deal with that. And most kids these days, I don't think have to deal with anything stressful until they're an adult. And by then it's too late. So to fix this, it's going to start with parenting, like Morgan Luttrell suggests, but at the same time, our schools are going to have to let there be one winner. Everybody else they might get a smaller trophy, but they still lost because they weren't number one. And start putting stress on kids when they're little, so by the time they become an adult, they can be productive.
Yeah, you need to be tempered.
Well, I noticed this too. So I actually agree with you to an extent, and I know that you can probably agree with me on this too, is that we did protect our children from feeling things, because what did we do? We drugged them, right? Remember Ritalin?
Yeah. I was a big part of that, and I was medicated into not feeling from age 9 to 17.
But I had a lovely lady on the Logbook podcast. I forgot your name. I am so very sorry. But she sent me something recently. She sent me Exploring the Relationship Between Medicine and Veteran Suicide. U.S. Committee on Veteran Affairs, U.S. House of Representatives. This was a long time ago. This is like almost 10 years old. Conclusion: there is an overwhelming evidence that SSRIs and other stimulating antidepressants cause suicidality and aggression in children and adults of all ages. The evidence suggests that young adults aged 18 to 24, the age of many soldiers, and a lot of these people that are shooting schools, are especially at risk for antidepressant-induced suicidality. There is a strong probability that the increasing suicide rates among active duty soldiers are in part caused or exacerbated by the widespread prescription of antidepressant medication. In addition, antidepressants frequently cause manic-like reactions, including loss of impulse control and violent, posing potentially grave risk among military personnel. Little will be lost and much will be gained by stopping prescription of antidepressants to military personnel. The military should rely upon psychological and educational programs that are currently under development for preventing suicide and other psychiatric disorders among service members. My thing is that during this transition in time period too, and what he's talking about with schools, parents are medicating that crap out of their kids. I mean, my goddaughter came in, and she graduated 3 years ago. Half of her class was on antidepressants because they have these teachers in there now that'll sit there and say, "Oh my goodness, if you're not happy, there's something wrong with you." And I get what you're saying is that kids have to go through trauma in order to grow. But if you sit there and medicate them, they can't go through trauma and they can't grow.
Yeah, it's just like a muscle. If you were never an athlete through school, you're not going to be an athlete when you get to college because your muscles they're not prepared. I mean, it's going to be much harder. And your brain, it's like a muscle, I feel. I mean, it's something they have to use, but not just in school. It has to be stressed to be able to adapt to different situations. And that's why I think it would take to fix this. It's going to take a good 20, 30, 40 years because we've had at least 2, maybe 2.5 generations that have been brought up on the medications. And even if it's not medication, just, hey, I'll give you whatever you want to make you happy.
We're creating a generation of drug addicts.
I have 3 daughters, 3 wonderful daughters. My oldest daughter at age 17 got addicted to heroin.
Oh my
and I think now she's off. So I'm pretty happy about that. But I remember her mom and I were divorced, and her mom wanted to put her on medication because she had issues. And that was the answer in order to fix my daughter. And I went to the doctor's office that was going to prescribe the medication. I said, I'm not saying that my daughter doesn't need to be put on medicine. But before anybody puts her on medicine, I said, I think she needs to go talk to a counselor and talk to somebody to try to get her feelings out and understand what's going on.
Right.
Before we get to the point to where you give medication.
Medication should always be the last option, but right now it's the laziest option.
Yeah, because you get a medicine, you only have to go to the doctor once a month or so. If you go talk to somebody, you got to go every week.
Yep. And guess what? No one likes accountability anymore. And when you go and talk about your problems, you actually have to put work into it for it to work and hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, you might not like what you hear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. I honestly like hearing, I like it when my close friends do come in to reprimand me on something, because they're brave enough to tell me the truth, one, and two is they want the best for me to help me grow. So, and I don't understand why this new generation doesn't quite understand that. They just hear truth and they get offended. Don't understand it.
It's very interesting that you bring that up, because there's a whole community with prior drug addicts. They have these meetings called, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, all that, but they don't do anything. They don't do anything at all. What they do is they keep them in their hurt, and they keep them in the mindset that they are still addicts. There's people in here have 10, 20 years clean, haven't touched a thing, any kind of substance at all in decades. And they still have this mentality that I am an addict and I am still weak to this substance. And so it's not just there's medication, there's also the social constructs that are surrounding these people, i.e. like, if you don't have the medications, you have your school telling you that something wrong with you. You have your doctors telling you that there's something wrong with you. And there's no one in your circle that's telling you, hey, you can get the fuck over this.
I love this so much, Tori. I totally agree with you. She's ADHD, and whatever they're calling it nowadays, and dyslexic. I was taught coping skills to turn it into a superpower. Absolutely. I love that. I love the fact that it's promoting acceptance and individuality, that, of course, everyone's not perfect. You can take your weaknesses and you can grow them and turn them into a gift and be victorious. I love this. That's what I love about the older generations, that are older than myself, is that they sit here and they know how to turn a negative into a positive and not be victims. And it's like that. I think you're right, Paul. It's because of the trophy generation, because that was my generation, is everyone got a participation trophy, but I always placed first, so it didn't matter. So, sorry. But, if you did get that participation trophy and everything, you didn't get those coping skills at all. You just remained a victim. You didn't get a chance to have a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Tori, for that. That's awesome. Totally agree with that.
All right.
How much more of this do we got?
We have, I'd say about 26 minutes.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to go over yet.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Paul?
And so nowadays, once you get into the world of where there are actually trophies, so we've got the new answer, and that's you just say you're a woman and you compete on the women's team. And I saw an interview the other day with the swimmer that she actually tied with that guy that was a swimmer that says he's a woman, and they only had one trophy, so they gave it to the guy because that was the right thing to do, not the woman that tied, the guy, because that's good for him. So the world we live in is definitely turning crazy.
I tell you what, that if coming from a female viewpoint, every time I sit up and I scream, it's misogyny. Everyone loses their mind. These are men. I mean, look at this whole thing with Dylan Mulvaney. I know, but he's literally sitting there making fun of women, pretending to be a 50s at-home housewife. Okay, that is a slap in the face to all women. We don't pretend our roles. We don't sit there and get a little freaking KitchenAid mixer and pretend that we're cooking. No, we're serious, and when we're providing for our families, we're serious about how we cook our meal for our children and our husband. It's not a freaking game. And the fact that these women out there are so stupid to not understand that that is what is going on, is men are pretending to steal our roles and making fun of, oops, I'm so sorry. My bad. Oops, I slipped in grass and high heels, because women wear high heels and grass all the time, right? We don't even act like how Dylan Mulvaney acts. It's a slap in the face. I'm sorry. I'm freaking done with that. I wasn't ever going to do that.
And I'll never take the role of a woman, because I'll tell you what, to be a mom, a woman, and nowadays to work and do everything else, most men, we couldn't do it. So I'll just stay in my lane.
Yeah. Laura said this. My nephew was diagnosed with oppositional combative disorder. I looked it up because it sounded stupid to me. When I read the description definition, I told my sister, oh, according to this, oh, he's a boy. Oh,
oppositional combative disorder. Yes. Boys are oppositional. Boys are combative. That's just what we are.
Yeah. Keep it up. All right. Whew. It's another way to remove masculinity from men. Oh, they have made gender a character. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a character in a theme park at this point. Whoa. Were we ever going to get through this? You get me off topic. Paul, you're bad, just as bad as me. You send me down these rabbit holes. And I'll
shame. Paul.
Yeah, but a lot of this stuff truly does.
It does go together. It really does.
Yeah.
I know.
The thing is, it's all the downfall of America. It's the separation of the nuclear family. And that's what it's all really about, is to separate us and divide us to a point that this country can be easily taken over. And, there is no more America. There is no more sovereignty. It's just one world, everything.
It's all equity. Everyone's the same. And that's what people think. They're pushing for everyone to be equal, everyone to be the same. If everyone is equal, no one's going to be gifted. Okay? No one's going to be talented. Look at the art world.
If everyone's special, then nobody is.
There's not really any good quality art out there.
If minimum wage is $50 an hour, everybody's poor.
Yep.
I mean, so I want to say this to everybody that's listening and watching, because I appreciate what you two are doing. And I appreciate that you have us veterans share our issues with you. I appreciate that you, when you go to town hall meetings, you bring that stuff up to Congressman Luttrell. So I would ask everybody that's listening to share this with at least one other person, especially if it's a veteran, and ask them to join on your next town hall, because one person, Kim and Dakota, doesn't fix things alone. It's all of us getting together and uniting and sharing all of our similar issues, and then going to like a Congressman Luttrell to say, hey, look at all these issues that we're having, not just one or two of us. So I hope
a big thick book of paper of all the problems that you have. There you go.
Yeah, and guess who's going to get yelled at the most? Me. I'm down. You see these huge shoulders? I got you. Guys, seriously, please do share our podcast out. And again, if you are a veteran, if you know a veteran that has a problem that needs to be addressed, please contact us. We'll find a way to help you out. We'll go before our congressman. Heck, we'll do our best. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, we've got time for one more question.
Okay.
Feeling people to once again be responsible and accountable for their own actions.
Starts at home.
Rather than
You'll never convince me that start a house.
right now, a lot of the issues that we have, even crime and all that, we're blaming inanimate objects.
I got it.
The gun didn't kill him. The human did.
I get it.
For our own problem.
The gun can't pull its own trigger.
Next question.
At some point, we've got to address it. And try to make it better.
Yes.
I'm not saying that, I want everything legislated.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I spent my entire career working in energy, most of it. I understand that you were an advisor to the Barry Department of Energy.
I was.
So I read that the first nuclear reactor started up in Florida last month, which is the first one in the United States in 25 years. And the DOE's Argonne National Lab developed the interplanetary reactor, which was a spectacular technology. I took a tour of it. And thanks to John Kerry, our climate czar, and Bill Clinton, we stopped that program. I still think that's the right answer if you're really worried about climate change. But ever since AOC came out with a Green New Deal, I've been posting 4 questions focused on electricity. Is it all misuse? First 3 I'm going to answer because you can find the information on the Energy Information Administration website. 4th one is you.
Okay.
All right, first question, and all of you, which month is the average demand for electricity in the United States to August? It's August. We're all running our air conditioners on the refrigerator. How much electricity?
I was going to say a winter month.
My highest electric bill
No.
in Houston is January.
Nationally, it's a winter month because of the heat. I'm not trying to call you off your horse.
And the only reason I would disagree with that is a lot of countries use heating oil and natural gas. Only the southeast states use electricity, which is very expensive. But we don't have to use it very often. But we all have air conditioners, even Montana. But anyway, the point, January is my highest electric bill because my house is old. But most of the time, if you look at the EIA data, it's August because the air conditioner. Second, how much electricity solar panels generate at night? None. I have 12 solar panels.
Can't do it without the sun.
They're only up on a warm summer day with no clouds. They're only up 50% by 10 o'clock. And by 3:30, they're down to 50%. And at night, they're 0. Third question. Which month, EIA data, which month is the average generation of wind turbines the lowest? August. Why? Because it takes a temperature difference to create wind, and every place is hot in August. Right? So, a lot of governments are pushing for clean energy to shut down natural gas and coal and replace it with solar and wind. At some point, our 4th question becomes relevant. If they're successful in doing that, where exactly does our electricity come from on summer nights? And battery technology is not ready. If you want an iPhone kind of battery, China controls our batteries and solar panels. So where will it come from if we go with solar, wind, and shut down gas and coal?
That was rhetorical, we answered, so we did.
Well, that's what, I mean, I don't know.
No, it comes nowhere. You're right.
We don't know where it's coming from, and they're not.
Just, okay, I'll put you at ease. I would ever fight, vote in any way to go completely EV. Okay, I think that's the biggest misdirection. I mean, for instance, California wants to go completely EV. I think Gavin Newsom wants California to be completely EV by 2030. This summer we saw the draw rate on the grid is over what they could produce at 195,000 kilowatts, I think. If they went completely EV, the draw would be over 220,000 kilowatts. So they need more electricity than they actually produce, and that's just on vehicles. There's no proper, there's no good end game for us if we go completely EV. I support that statement 100%. Okay. And being that as dependent as we are on Taiwan and the narrative is playing out with China, I mean, across the world, you got Russia, you got China, Taiwan, you got North Korea, South Korea, you got Israel and Palestine, you got Israel and Iran, right? As hyper-dependent as we are on microprocessors and chips, very dangerous because we don't produce any of that here. So our phones, our computers, our truck, our vehicles that we drive, the computers that we work on, it can be a very slippery slope. And I'm going to get these numbers wrong, but give me a little range here, okay? There's 49 billion tons of lithium known 49 billion known lithium stores on the planet. If the United States alone went completely EV, that would deplete, I think, 40 billion tons. That's just on cars in the United States. Not the rest of the world, not just drills, not just vacuum cleaners, not just lawnmowers, just on cars. So again, the numbers and the science is there. It's this hyper-aggressive left side push to get rid of fossil fuels, which is, it kills us.
Most of those things we saw on our.
And most of it, and everything, we live everywhere else. It is. No, you're.
So that was a bit hard to see her, but I'll let you.
Yeah, so basically what the guy was, well, I don't want to say asking, but what he was telling to Morgan Luttrell was that where's our energy coming from if we move to solar and wind energy when the majority of our energy usage is during the summer months and the majority of wind power happens during the winter months and the majority of the solar energy during the night, it just goes away. We'll have no way of producing energy during the summer months or producing enough of it.
Here's the thing is that Morgan did, I will say this, he does sometimes get into arguments, as we've seen, with polite arguments, because he still puts the person first, because that's what it was. We've had these, we've seen it before, and I know we do. Honestly, we get a little frustrated with it.
Yeah, we do.
Is people will come to events, especially we saw it with Kyle Rittenhouse. They will come to sit here and say, and pretty much try to be the congressman in the room. Is they list off their facts, they start lecturing everybody without asking a question. And I appreciated Morgan on this so much that he's so patient with his constituents. He will sit there and work with them to get that question out of them, to explain where he stands on something. But just roundabout way it is, there's not enough lithium to support all going green. So fossil fuels it is.
Yeah. That's the only option we have right now.
Yeah.
And we've been up in Lubbock and up in the Panhandle.
I think the Biden administration has pushed the military to go green.
Oh yeah, they did.
Military.
No, even Obama did. But I will say this: it was kind of cool because we needed car covers, anyways. So what they did, the military negotiated this is like when we have the deployment lots where we get to park our cars and everything. So what the military did is said, okay, let's go green, but let's go ahead and build a garage there. So that's how they did it. Is we finally got covered parking and solar panels. I was like, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
No freaking weather destroying our cars.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And first of all, let's get this straight. Military has been green since World War One.
I got it. I got it. A little late there.
A little late there, but it's okay. But anyway, what exactly do they mean by going green? Like, are we going to have like EV tanks or something?
Well, I've heard that that's eventually where they want to go, but to start with, they want all war type vehicles to be electric. So
all the gummies
and but
yeah, they already started that. Have you seen the new recruiting cars? Or
yeah, I remember when my recruiter had an E85.
No, I passed it the other day here on Barker Cypress. Oh, kiddo. I got a kiddo underneath me. Yeah, they were. It was an electric car.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I still don't. Here's the thing: I do not want enlisted personnel driving a Tesla because I know what those things cost.
Yeah, now it'll be just Air Force and their battery will run out all the time, and then the Navy will snatch them up in their E85 recruiter cars.
Yes. I think it's a waste of. It's just virtue signaling to me. Going green is.
Yeah.
But anyways, we're coming up on our 2 hours, and we're going to have to cut this town hall short. We will come back next week and review the rest of that. So we'd like to thank our viewers for coming on. We'd like to thank Common Denominator Network. Paul, please come back. It was a pleasure to have you on. And if you feel like you'd like to come on, you're more than welcome anytime.
Well, I appreciate it. I enjoy watching your podcast.
Well, guys, again, thank you for joining us. And we'd like to wish you good night. Have a great rest of your weekend, and God bless.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Let me be the first to congratulate you on a job well done and to call you a United States Marine. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. To support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And to bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. That I will obey. The orders of. The President of the United States. And the orders of. Those officers. Appointed over me. According to regulations. And the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.